Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of the Rusty Beauties Restorations. And right away, let's start with introducing our newest patient. So, this is a 1968 Triumph TR250. She's a beautiful car. No front bumper. It has this rail with running lights. Gorgeous, isn't it? Anyway, she just arrived this afternoon and she's already on jack stands by emergency actually, because she came with a long list. We've planned with the owner for a long time, so that's the list. We'll get to that later, but like I said, there was a little bit of an emergency with her as soon as she came, and I'll show you what I mean. All right, so why is she on jack stands? Like I said, she just arrived today, this morning, and she was parked right where she is. That's where the owner parked her. And then we had a little chat about what we're gonna do with her and all that good stuff. And then he left. And then half an hour later, I decided to move her out because I needed to pull out this car out from here. And then underneath, that's what I see. And I'm like, what? Anyway, so I let the owner know that something blew on the way here, and then later I put her on the jack stands and I went underneath, and that's what you can see. There's oil all over the place. So I couldn't even figure out where it was coming from. It is just starting from the engine somewhere, probably the oil filter. I'm suspecting the oil filter. But going from the engine, and because he was on the highway probably doing 110 120k, and it just spread everywhere around the frame, around the floors, the transmission, even on the differential, even on the trailing arm, and even on the back of the car. But the good news is that there's still oil pressure. Even now, if I start the engine, there's oil pressure. So he didn't run it dry, but the stick is totally dry. So it is way below the minimum level. So anyways, I already went underneath and I cleaned as much as I could, at least in the front area, not so much the back, but at least in the front I cleaned. So let's go and take a look now. All right. So now here, this area was wet a lot. I wiped it. I sprayed everything with brake cleaner. I used like 4 cans of brake cleaner in the blower. And I think it is pretty dry now. I'm gonna actually dry a little bit more here. The transmission is now clean. Here the frame. So the frame, there was oil on top of the frame. And this is what I'm suspecting, that here at some point it built too much pressure and it just started squirting from the filter, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna make sure this is completely dry, but I have the feeling that I already dried it here and now it's wet. Anyway, we're gonna see. I'm gonna go and actually wipe it with a paper towel everywhere to make sure that everything is super dry, at least here around the engine. And tomorrow I'm gonna change the oil because the oil needed to be changed anyways. That was one of the jobs in the list. So we're gonna change the oil and we're gonna start the engine and we're gonna run it. Here I haven't cleaned it yet completely. Maybe later we're gonna come and clean this part of the car. But what I'm worried about now is the front. So I'm gonna make sure that everything is super clean here. We're gonna let her sit overnight, even though we don't know how much oil is it in it. But there must be some, because like I said, it builds oil pressure, which is good. And tomorrow when we change the oil, we're gonna run her and we're gonna come under the car and we're gonna observe where it's gonna start coming from. Is it tight, this oil filter? It's tight, it's not loose, but I don't know. But this was the highest wet spot here and on top of the frame right here. So that's why I'm thinking that it is from the oil filter. Anyways, it's clean now. We're gonna see. So let me show you what's inside. Oh, Chris Fisher is keeping me company. Hi, Chris. If you need me to hold something, I'm here. I can help you. Anyway, yeah, Chris Fisher is keeping me company in the garage, but look at the engine bay. Like the whole car has been taken care of really well. I mean, you saw underneath, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure that until this morning there was absolutely no spot underneath, but then it was all wet. Anyway, so she has twin SUs. I don't even know what this is. I think it's oil catcher. It even has a canister added for the evap. The mechanical fan has been eliminated and there's a electrical one. Look at that electrical stuff over there. That's probably for the fan, but there's fuses added and stuff. We don't have wiring diagram for them. No electrical issues as far as I know, so we should be fine with that. Has electronic ignition, vacuum advance and retard. The retard is not hooked up. Good idea. Yeah, look at this canister here. Why is it here? And where is this hose going? Probably back to the tank? This is an aftermarket thing for 250. That thing wasn't introduced until 1974. And this car is 1968 actually. So anyway, the only issue with it here, what I noticed is this dent on the trim. Everything else looks good. The wheels are fantastic. Inside she looks good. You see that trim? And that's for here. We already know how. Actually, the owner brought me a tool as well, so, and he gave it to me, so that's mine now. Thank you, Jim. So now we have a proper tool. But look at this. It's just like mine, isn't it? So anyways, I'm gonna change the oil tomorrow and then together we're gonna go underneath and we're gonna see if we can find the leak. All right, it's the next day. So she's been sitting for almost 24 hours and I don't see any drips except of here at the back, but I guess this is because I didn't clean perfectly here. It's still dripping from the frame and from the exhaust and everywhere. Anyways, we have a clean oil pan, so we're gonna put it underneath and we're gonna drain the oil. We have a few bottles of VR1 by Valvoline with added zinc. So we're gonna do an oil change. We have a filter as well. So we're gonna do an oil change and we're gonna start the engine and we'll let her warm up and we will see if it is gonna start dripping from somewhere. Usually when you drain the oil, it's good to be warm, right? But unfortunately, we can't start her without oil in her. I don't know how much is inside, so I don't want to risk it. So we're gonna drain it cold. It's not that cold, it's pretty hot today. Right, Rusty? Is it hot today? Yeah, we're wearing shorts. I just cut my grass all over the place. It's been like raining for weeks and I couldn't cut the grass. It became pretty thick, but finally we cut it everywhere. Anyways, back to the point. So let's see how much is gonna come out and what it's gonna look like. Not much. Holy crap. No shavings on the plug, so at least that's good. Okay, I'm gonna let it drip for a while. Then we're gonna put it in empty bottles and we'll see how much it was. Okay, the filter is out too and it's barely dripping now. It's been like 10 minutes So I guess we're gonna put the new one, and the new one is this one. That's what I use when we have the spin-on oil filter adapter. I use Mobile M1209. So it is the same threads here and the diameter is the same. So let me install it, pour the oil, and we're gonna start her. Okay, so the new filter is on. I wrote the date and the kilometers on it. Close the plug, I poured the oil, and now let's start her and keeping an eye on her. There you go. Okay, so the oil pressure looks good. It's not too high. I was hoping that the filter was loose, but actually it was quite well in there. So it's not like it was loose and that's why it was leaking from there. Right, let's go underneath. Oh, she's dripping already. What is that? Looks like it's between the adapter and the block. Okay, let's turn her off. Turns out that this bolt on the adapter was pretty loose. Well, it wasn't too loose, but it was pretty loose. So I tightened it, and let's check again. Staying dry now. Oh no, dripping again. All right, so looks like we need to change the gasket on the spin-on adapter. And but let me pour this into the empty bottle so we can see how much there was inside. Well, it looks like it had almost 3 quarts inside, so it wasn't totally dry. Okay, so I took the adapter out and look what the gasket looks like. It is flat. That is weird. Like, I've taken gaskets out before from that groove and they don't look like this. This is totally flattened. Anyways, I'm gonna go check for another gasket underneath, because sometimes, you know, there are 2 gaskets and that causes problems too. I'm gonna go dig for another one. No, there isn't another one. So here we have a new gasket. I'm hoping that it's gonna work well, because I had troubles in the past before with 2 different engines with 3 different gaskets. They all leaked until I finally found a gasket in a package from 1980 probably, and that worked better. The new ones are like not really good, but anyways, we'll see. Alright, so the problem with the oil is solved, but also here, look at this. As soon as I let go of the throttle, she goes very low. She almost dies, and then she goes back. Oh, we have a vacuum leak. Huh, I think I just figured out the problem. Anyways, let me cap it. Okay, Let's see if it still does it. Okay, that was a quickie. So eventually we're gonna hook her up to the scope and we will see how she's running and everything. But that's gonna happen some other day. First we're gonna deal with other items on our list. Okay. Ooh. Now the fan comes on. And it's still dry underneath, so that's good. We're gonna keep watching it though. We're gonna keep an eye on it for a few days. All right, so it's a few days later, and I'm watching here the new video of Chef Tash about my car, or half of my car. Whatever part of that car is mine, we will see. And you may see a little difference here. If you remember, this car didn't have a front bumper. It only had this budge bar, and it was used to hold these two running lights. So the owner bought these Vietnamese, actually, just like Chef Tash's bumpers. They are not chrome, dirty now, we have to clean them, but they are stainless. So they look great, but the owner also wanted me to figure out something about the bar staying there together with the lamps. So we had to play a little bit. The other day Chef Tash was here. He helped me a lot. We actually installed the whole rear bumper. Let me show you there. So the car had a rear bumper, but it wasn't in a great shape. So this is also a Vietnamese stainless steel one that we installed. Sorry, the garage door is closed because it's cold today again. So currently I'm working on installing those license plate lights here. I'm gonna show you a little bit more about that because I'm having issues there. But let's go back to the front bumper. So in order to install the bumper and keep the bar there, I had to raise the bar a little bit. Raising the bar, you know. So we raised it a little bit. So here there are mounting brackets underneath that hold the bar. So I had to space the whole assembly out by, that's I believe 3/8 of an inch. I put those rubber washers there that I actually made on the lathe. I bought a rubber roller, and on the lathe, believe it or not, I was able to make those. That helped me push the whole bar and the bumper out. That way the bar fit just behind the bumper here, and I had to oval the holes on the mounting brackets of the bar so I can raise it up. So this fits here now. Otherwise this wasn't gonna fit. They literally touch now, but if you look closer, there's a rubber washer there too, and it barely fits here in the back. Here you can see it better. But if we raise the bonnet, let me show you. Okay. So if we raise the bonnet, we also barely have some room here, but it doesn't touch even when it raises, even when you push back, so you can remove the stay here, it still doesn't touch. So that's a good thing. The owner, I sent him some pictures and he's a little bit concerned about the angle of the bumper, but I don't think we changed the angle of the bumper, we just spaced it up. So he says that this he was expecting to be a little bit more vertical, but I don't think I can do anything about that unless I put some tapered spacers that are a little bit wider at the bottom and narrower at the top. But that's gonna change everything here about the lamps, so I don't think we can do much about that without changing the whole configuration here. That's how it is for now, and if the owner wants, we can play more with it, but like I said, we have to change everything about it. So that's about the front bumper. For the rear bumper, I bought this aftermarket, I should call them, or I mean, I bought them from Moss Motors, these license plate lights, but I had to make a combination We have original ones that Chef Tash generously donated to the owner. So he gave me these, but unfortunately they don't fit. Because this here, this diameter here, is larger for the original ones than the ones that go on this bumper. Let me show you. So I don't know if you can tell, there's more than 1/8 of a difference of the diameter of this hole here. Also, here I put screws, but let me show you here. You see the screw holes on these ones, they are notched, and you use these little brackets that rusted, but this is how you hold these lamps. Now these screws here, these are the original ones that came off of these, and I used them because they are stainless or chrome plated, I don't know, but I cleaned them. They were pretty rusted too, but I guess it was from the rust came from here, just like it transferred here on the chrome piece. So we cleaned them as much as we could because the new lamps come without screws anyways. But these screws, they go into these holes like champs. So if we want to use these screws there, we need to put something behind. So what I did for the other side is I took these nuts, or these quick nuts, or whatever these are called, these little clips, and I put them underneath, and I ran the screws to hold them in place, and then I took a big blob of silicone and I shoved it inside. So when this silicone cures, I'm gonna remove the screws, and hopefully the clips are gonna stay inside, and they just need to stay until I put the screws back, you know. That's what's gonna hold it. So that's my solution. So now I'm working on doing the same thing, the same job on the other side. I have to remove this nut from here as well, and I'm gonna install them there and put more silicone so we give it enough time to cure. And in the meantime, I'm working on the actual lamps. Now, if you can see here, these use a bigger bulb. Well, these are the new ones. They come with a smaller bulb, like this type. This is amber, this is for the front, so that's not what we're gonna use. We're gonna use a white one, of course. I already have one inside here. But you see, this is the back of the new ones. And they fit inside the smaller hole that we have on the new bumperettes. This, if you can see here, this is the original one that came from Chef Tash, the chrome cover, and this is the one that came with the new lights, and you can tell this is like pretty cheap, and I don't know if it is stainless. Let me see. Yeah, seems to be stainless. I don't know. Also, the new ones come with this lens, which is plastic. The original ones have a glass one, which is pretty heavy. So what I ended up doing here, I used the combination of the new innards because they fit into these holes, and then I used the glass lens here and the old cover, the original cover that came from Chef Tash. So that's what we're gonna do for the other side as well. I had to extend the wires because you see that's the new one. This is how long it is. So I cut the ends, and I'm gonna extend it now here. But this one I already extended, and I put it in this sleeve, braided sleeve, or whatever it's called. Here I even did that for the old one before I realized that it doesn't fit inside the hole. So that's why I had to go and change this to this one. So yeah, this is what I'm using. You see, this is fantastic. I love it. I also did that for the front lights here because they were inside these plastic ones. Like this is what the lights had before, but I don't like this. So I changed it to a braided one as well, and it looks great. So here I'm gonna do the same thing now. I'm gonna extend this, and I'm gonna put these into the bumperettes, and when the silicone cures, we're gonna remove the screws and we're gonna install the new assembly as it is, as this one now. So that's what I'm doing. I just wanted to give you a quick update. All right, so I put these two screws as well on this side and the nuts inside, and put some silicone to make them stay. And I started working on another project on this car, which looks like it's not gonna go without any troubles either. Everywhere I go, something doesn't fit. So this is a luggage rack that obviously mounts here on the hinges. You have this additional bracket that goes under the hinge, and that's where the rear end or the front end of the rack mounts. And the other mounting point is on the license plate hose here on the back of the boot lid. So I'm sorry, Jim, I'm showing your license plate number. I hope you don't mind. This rack has been recently re-chromed, including the brackets. One of the brackets has a little issue. I'm going to show you a picture of that, but it is in a location which is not seen once the bracket is mounted. But the chroming facility lost the hardware for here, unfortunately. Now, from the pictures, I guesstimated the size of the hose here, and I pre-ordered, before I got the car here, I pre-ordered some chrome hardware, but I ordered 1/4 inch, and this turns out to be much smaller. So I'm gonna have to get different hardware for here. So for now, I'm just using these split pins to hold it in place. The thing is though, the hose don't match very well. First of all, this is almost touching here, if it is not even touching. But as you can see here, this hole and the hole on the rack don't match at all. And I don't know, maybe I'm gonna have to drill the hole on the rack a little bit wider. I don't know what I'm gonna do here yet. I don't wanna drill anything because, you know, it's been chromed, so I don't wanna remove chrome from anywhere, but it looks like something needs to be done. I don't know what yet. On the other side is the same. Here, you see, the pin is actually on an angle, just like the other one. But we will see what we're gonna do here. Unfortunately, the bracket cannot move any further because it slides under, and you can see these slots here. So it slides under the mounting bolts of the hinge, and it is limited, but maybe that's what I can do. Maybe I can oval these holes, even though they are oval now. They are actually slots, they're not holes, but maybe the end of the hole I can oval in this direction here, so I can slide the bracket a little bit further in that direction, and that's gonna align these holes, but it's gonna make it stick out a little bit here. And even in that situation, I don't think it's gonna help for our other problem, which we have here. So here, you see, it needs to go an inch down, both sides. But as it is going down, you can imagine it's pivoting up there. So as it's going down, it's also going in, and it's already too tight. Even if it goes behind the license plate, I tried that. I don't want to force it so I don't scratch the paint, but even if it goes behind it, it still doesn't fit. Actually, let me show you. I'm gonna do it very gently so you see, but you can see it hits right here now, and it still needs to go an inch down. If I push down, it's just gonna push the sheet metal in. It's not gonna do anything. So unfortunately, we have to figure out something else, and to be honest, I don't know what. I really don't know what. So I think what I'm gonna start with is I'm gonna go get some hardware that fits here. Turns out that Canadian Tire offers stainless steel hardware. So I'm gonna go get something that fits here to mount this better, and then I'm gonna see if I can move the bracket down. But you can imagine the bracket needs to move by probably more than an 8, maybe 3/16 forward, just to align with the rack before we can even move the rack in that direction. So 3/16 to line up with the hole, and then another maybe 1/4 inch we need in order to line these up. So that's gonna become 7/16, almost half an inch. And we don't want to stick this out half an inch here, right? It's gonna come up to here. So not a good idea, but I don't see what else I can do. All right, so this is what we bought. 832 by 1.25 inch screws, but unfortunately they don't have acorn nuts like this. So this is what I previously bought, but it turns out it's too big. So my idea was to cut this shorter and use washers and lock washers and an acorn nut, but here now they don't have acorn nuts for this size. So unfortunately we're gonna have to use a regular nut, or which is a nylock nut. So it doesn't look too bad. It almost looks like an acorn. So that's what it's gonna be. Let me see how it's gonna fit. All right, before we install it though, let's see if we can trick it a little bit. So I need to unbend it here and this curve, you know, so we can bring this end down. So I clamped it on my table with a piece of 2x4, so I'm hoping to be able to stretch it a little bit. But before I attempt that, I'm gonna take a measurement. I don't know how to show you that. Maybe like this. I'm gonna take a measurement from this corner here to here. So that's 69.5. I don't know if it is gonna move. I have the feeling that it moves. Actually, I can see with the measuring tape. So that's 69.5 centimeters because the way the measuring tape is, and yeah, it does move. It springs back, but it moves. Let me show you. So you see here 69.5 centimeters, and that's what I mean. It's easier to measure here in metric than if I put it like this. I can't. Like this is easier. And now I can see when I pull it back, it becomes 70, and probably it's gonna become more. So let's try and bend it a little. Okay, so it is almost 70, 69. It's actually 69.9. So moved by 4 millimeters, which is a sixth of an inch. An inch is 25.4 millimeters, so it's almost a sixth of an inch. Doesn't work. Well, let's try. Well, weird enough, that might have worked for the other side, where I didn't even pull. I tried to pull there and the clamps came off. Did they, or it was the other side? I don't know, but it looks like the other side worked better. Anyways, I put the new hardware here and it's still a little bit on an angle, but that's fine. I mean, that's how it is. This side though, the new hardware still doesn't fit. Like, I don't know why the pin goes, this pin goes, but when I try to put the bolt, it goes through this hole, but then it can't line with the last one. So I don't know, it looks like we have to widen this hole, which I don't want to. I really don't want to grind anything, because we're gonna expose some bare metal there that's not chromed and it might rust. But here, before, it was going only to the top of the windshield, to the top of the license plate. Now it's actually going further. So if we put it behind the license plate, it might work, which is gonna be even better. Even though on the pictures that I've seen on this, it goes over the license plate on another car. But if it fits behind, it's gonna be even better. This just means that we need to put some protection behind it between the bracket and the paint. Let me see what I can find. Well, apparently we tricked it. I cheated a little bit and now everything fits. How did I cheat? Well, let me see if you're gonna guess how. So just so you know, there are rubber washers here. It doesn't touch the paint, which is good. I also put rubber washers here between this bracket and this, so I was able to tighten it. So otherwise it was loose going left and right, but now this dampens it. And the nut, I was able to tighten it just enough so the nylock part grabs the threads, so it's not gonna come loose. And this is where I cheated, because you know this wasn't fitting, right? Can you guess what I've done? Can you see it? Yep, I bent the bolt. So right in the middle, the bolt is bent, but you can barely see it here, right? The head of the bolt is not parallel to the nut, but I think that's a better solution than grinding the hose there. So anyways, that's how it works. So let me unwrap it now and take a look at the whole thing. There you go. This is how it fits. I think it looks good, doesn't it? All right, it's the next day, and we keep going here with the 250. And one other job that the owner wanted me to do was to replace all the locks on the car. So the two on the door are already replaced. There's nothing special about them. They're literally pushed in, and there's these two teeth on the side that hold on the sheet metal. Well, sometimes that's tricky when you have a little bit more bondo around that area, so you shouldn't have much bondo around the lock hole. But anyways, this one is done. This one was okay. So the two locks on the two doors are changed, but there's another one in the back that needs to be changed, and I started doing it. I thought it was easier. Turns out it's not that easy. This comes only as a barrel, and you need to change it here on this. But how do you change it? Obviously the whole thing needs to come out. So what I did, there were two screws here. They go inside, and there's a nut going from underneath from here. So I removed these already, and I loosened this nut here, which allows you to drop the whole locking mechanism actually. Oops. Good thing we have the cover here. So that removes the whole mechanism, and now you can withdraw the handle like that. So let's go now on the vise and see how we can change the barrel on it. Okay, so looks like this doesn't come out. It comes out this way. So so I can see here a pin, so I'm assuming that if we remove this pin from here, we're gonna be able to split this, and then here somehow on the back of the barrel there must be a circlip or something that holds it in place that we need to release from this one in order to push this one. So how am I even gonna hold this? So let's see how much trouble is this pin gonna give us. Oh, actually not that bad. Oh, I prepared for a fight. Good, it's coming out. Oh, I was even able to pull it out with my fingers. Okay. Now what? So I guess that's the pin that slides into this slot. It's not a circlip. The pin just goes like this, I guess. But it looks like we need the key in order to withdraw it. Yeah, because now we can't even turn it, because you see how it works. When you put the key inside, when you take the key out, all these pins go up. When you put it in, they all go down. I tried with the key for the doors, which is different, and it didn't work. So this is the key for the door, and you see when you put it in, this pin stays up and this pin stays up, and the other one as well. So we need the right key, which if it is not here, means that we don't have it. Oh, hold on. So we need the right key for here in order to take it out. It looks like we don't have it. That's what we have on the... Okay, that's fun. There you go. That's how it comes out. It should have came out, you know? I think it was supposed to come out even without the key, but it was just seized inside. Anyways, it came out one way or another. So now, I wonder how they put this in. Doesn't really matter, we're not taking it out. So now we're gonna put some white lithium grease inside. Pin the pin back in. Now we have to match it. Okay, so now it's not coming out anymore. But if we don't put the key all the way in, it won't turn. We need to go all the way in, and now it turns. Good. It's too bad it's a different set of keys for the back though. They came together, and I was expecting that all three locks use the same key, but turns out the two for the doors use the same key, and the one for the boot uses another key. So you still need three keys for this car. Anyways, I'm gonna clean it now, and we're gonna install it back. That's it. Okay, but I just realized that turning the key here, okay, that's good. But what do? How do we actually lock? We don't. There's something that goes inside this hole, and you can see here how when I turn the key, there's this tooth that is moving up and down. So I think there must be something that's inside, and when I turn the key this way, it's gonna raise that thing. Okay, so this is gonna be our locked position, and this is gonna be our unlocked position. All right, so I made something, but I'm afraid that I can't use it. I mean, it's gonna work. You see, it drops down, opens, drops, opens. But what's gonna make it return when it goes up? Oh, here you see, now it's locked. But what happens if it stays up and it doesn't want to go down, if it jams itself? It needs to be a little bit shorter because I can't take out the key in this position. I need to turn it a little bit more, but it's hitting here. But now it's locked, you see? So So I'm gonna shorten it a little bit more, but I'm still not sure I want to use it. You know what I mean? Now it's locked. Now it's unlocked. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm gonna recommend to the owner to buy the proper thing, you know, the whole handle with whatever thing there is there. Okay, so that's how I'm gonna leave it now, for it to go up and down easy, or to help it seize. I don't know. Anyways, I'm gonna show it to the owner, and if he wants to leave it like this, take the risk, fine. If not, he can buy a whole handle and change it so easy. It's just removing this nut from here and withdrawing it, right? Okay, now it's locked, and I'm gonna install it in this position. Okay, I installed it, and actually, yeah, you're right. I didn't even need to remove these two bolts because they hold the lock there. To remove the handle, you just need to remove this nut, and the handle comes out. So I put these back. So yeah, you don't need to remove this. All right, so let's test it. So it closes, and now it's open. But if we put the key in, turn it up, now it's locked. Good. When it unlocks though, yep, it unlocks. All right, we're gonna leave it like this, and we're gonna advise the owner to buy a new handle. Alright, so I've done a little bit more work on the car, but I didn't film it because I thought it was either repetitive work that I filmed previously on different cars, or it just wasn't interesting. So what did I do? I tuned the engine with the scope. There was a gas smell in the car. Turns out the gasket on the sending unit was, I guess it shrunk and it ripped, so I replaced it. I did an LED conversion on all lights, just like I did on the TR4 recently, and that was it. So there was not a lot of work on this car, but I just thought that it was a beautiful car and I wanted to show it to you. So that's gonna be the only video about it. I hope you enjoyed it. So that's everything for today. Thanks for watching, for commenting, for subscribing, for sharing and supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.